behind closed-door summit with Vladimir Putin a huge success, insisting Russia was no longer targeting the U.S. and dubbing the media the real enemy of the people. Donald Trump invited the Russian president to a second summit, this time in Washington, D.C., right before the midterm elections. After the Director of National Intelligence, Dan Coats, reacted to that news live with Andrea Mitchell, Trump's advisors were in an uproar, according to the Washington Post, with one senior White House official saying, quote, Coats has gone rogue. Joining me now, Malcolm Nance, author of The Plot to Destroy Democracy, former CIA analyst Nada Bakos, and Jill Wine-Banks, former assistant Watergate special prosecutor. Nada, I haven't seen you and spoken to you in a long time, so I want to come to you on this first to get your reaction to the fact that after what everyone agrees was a complete debacle in Helsinki, Donald Trump would very much like to have Vladimir Putin back and invite him to the White House, someplace I don't believe he has invited our closest allies.
Yeah, I don't understand. I agree with Dan Coats. This is something that is unprecedented, what the president is doing with Putin. He's playing a deferential game to him. He has not done this to our allies, let alone the fact that he hasn't even come to terms with working with his opposing political parties here in the United States. The way that he's treating Putin and the interaction that he's had with him, especially in Helsinki, and now inviting him to the White House, this isn't a series of negotiations, as sometimes it's played off to be. To me, this is really about Putin's control over Trump and the fact that Trump is being manipulated and allowing himself to do so. And that, I think, is ultimately why this is happening.
And Malcolm, not only that, but we're also learning this week. First of all, we're hearing the readouts of what happened from Russian state television. It's Russians who are releasing what they say that they're going to now forward agreements that were made that, you know, Donald Trump's own administration don't yet know what was said in those meetings, but apparently the Russians do, and they're starting to put it out there. And now we learned that, according to Defense One on Wednesday, after a secret Trump meeting, Russia offers to resume military relations. Russia is set to warm up military-to-military relations with the United States, pursuant to the agreement reached Monday between the country's presidents. That's what a Russian Defense Ministry spokesman said on Tuesday, surprising officials at the Pentagon, who were still waiting to hear what came out of the closed-door meeting, and in Congress, which banned U.S.-Russia military coordination 4 years ago. Your thoughts, Malcolm?
You know, I'm not going to be hyperbolic when I say the Russian state has co-opted the United States government's administration. The Trump administration right now is a junior partner to Vladimir Putin's Kremlin. And the only way that that could happen is two factors had to happen, and I wrote about this in my book. One, the Russians executed a very long-term, multi-year plan to co-opt social media, and they have literally re-engineered the mindset of 1/3 of the American public through Donald Trump's mouth. And then on the other hand, now you have Donald Trump having secret negotiations, cutting secret deals, which we had already seen when he had the CIA director and the Director of National Intelligence meet with 3 Russian intelligence officers, 2 of whom were sanctioned. But you have these meetings occurring where the entirety of the United States government has no idea what occurred. The Russians are now leading the United States around by a leash. And let me tell you something. We may not be talking legal treason here, but we are talking a betrayal to the oath of office, where the president is no longer protecting and defending the Constitution of the United States.
And just really quickly to say with you, Malcolm, because you were the person that warned us, and the reason this show didn't do the emails, because you did warn us on this very show that you can't trust anything that was leaked through Russian intelligence, and when it comes out on WikiLeaks, you can't just take it as gospel. So we stayed clear of those emails because of what you told us. You now have the military, according to the New York Times, completely blindsided. Days before the summit meeting, military officials pressed the National Security Council for Trump's proposed talking points and received no response. The lack of information handcuffed General Joseph Votel, the head of the United States Central Command. In a news conference on Thursday, we received no further direction that we currently been operating under. So the U.S. had no idea what Trump was going to say, what he said during the meeting. And now, can we trust the readouts that we are getting from the Russians as to what was said? Should we take those at face values, or could those be changed?
No, they could be completely changed. We have no idea what was said in there. The readout that we're getting is Vladimir Putin's readout as he reads his orders out to Donald Trump. And Trump is remaining within the parameters of that. We can see right now, all Trump wants is this pageant of bringing Putin to the United States, showing him our military parade, and essentially suborning ourselves to a hostile power. And let me tell you, just because we discussed those emails, that was 2 years ago, right? That we actually bought that stuff up. The media is only getting it now, and we see guys like Congressman Will Hurd, former CIA officer, guy who I really like, just suddenly saying, hey, wait a minute. You know, maybe something is going on between this president and Vladimir Putin. The rest of the nation, 60% of the nation, already knows Donald Trump is being led by a nose ring by his handler, right? His case officer, the ex-KGB officer.